Hi, this is Mike Shackelford with the wizardofodds.com website, and I'm here in the casino with the lovely Angela Wyman, who has some gambling questions for me.
Hi.
What would you like to know?
All right, well, my first question is, when we talk about casinos, you hear that the house always wins, the casino always has an edge. So if that's true, what's the point in gambling?
That's a good question. I always tell people that gambling should be thought of as a recreational activity like going to the movies or going bowling. You should think of it as something fun to do. You should do it in moderation and try to do it as well as you can. Try to play the good games, try to cut down the house advantage as much as you can, which is what my website is all about. But ultimately the reason for gambling should be entertainment. And if it's not, and you're not a professional gambler, you should, I think, pause and reflect about why you're doing it, because if it's not fun, you shouldn't be doing it at all.
I couldn't agree more. It should definitely be fun. So while you're figuring out your budget for fun, how do you come up with a number? How do you know what your gambling bankroll should start at, how to manage it? How do you take care of that kind of thing?
Well, there's a lot of other gambling writers that go into a great deal about what's called money management, about how you should manage your money. And in my opinion, that subject is very overrated. First and foremost, for a recreational gambler, you should only be betting with entertainment money. For example, consider that a high-end Las Vegas show, a ticket's going to be about $120. A high-end dinner is probably going to run, like $100 to $200 per person. And so correspondingly, if that's what you normally spend on entertainment, then that's what you should probably bring to the tables to bet with. You should not be betting your child's tuition money, food money. You should only be gambling with what you can safely afford to lose. And I think a good rule of thumb is that if you are, say, coming to Vegas for a weekend, and let's say your gambling budget is $1,000, divide that by, say, 40, which would be $25, right? And that would be a good bet size to play with. So I don't recommend making enormous bets at one time. Let your money last a little bit.
Well, once you've figured out the amount of money that you can comfortably spend and how you're going to parcel that off into your bets, how do you go about finding a game where the house has the smallest advantage, or even a game where maybe the player has an advantage?
Well, I could talk about that all day, and that's what my book and my website are all about. But briefly, the best bets in the casino are blackjack, craps, and video poker. But that doesn't mean you can just walk up to the table and play and expect to get great odds. No, you need to do your homework first, especially with blackjack and video poker. Those games are easy to play, but they're hard to play well. And my website and my other videos will help you a lot in that area. And there are some bets in the casino that have no house advantage at all. For example, in craps here, if you take the odds bet, that has 0% house advantage. There's some video poker games that have a double up feature with 0 house advantage. And there are some forms of video poker that, if played correctly, actually have a small player advantage.
All right. So once you've found those games, what do you feel about the variance on the sides? Every time I sit down at a blackjack table or a new poker table, it seems like there's an extra side bet. Are those generally good bets, player advantage, or poor bet? What do you usually think of them?
Side bets are sucker bets. I mean, the casinos would not put them there if they were not profitable for them. If there's no equivocating about it, they're lousy bets, stay away from them.
Well, what about if I walk up to a roulette table and I look at the display and the last 10 numbers have been read? I mean, it's got to be black, right? It's the same kind of thing. It's due to come up, yeah?
No, and this is something that I know a lot of people disagree with me about, but anyone who has even the most fundamental knowledge of probability will tell you that in games of independent events like roulette, the past does not matter, period. If the last 10 numbers on a fair roulette wheel could have been, the last 100 numbers could have been red, and the odds that the next number is going to be red or black are still exactly the same. So it does not help you to sit there tracking the colors and the numbers and looking for a pattern. Carl Sagan once said that human beings are significance junkies, that we're always looking for a meaning to everything. But in the casino, for the most part, the past has no meaning. It's just the past, it's over, it doesn't help you. Live in the present.
Well, does that apply to progressive jackpots? I'm not exactly sure how those work. I mean, it seems like if one of those gets large enough, that's due to hit, or is that a whole different thing?
Well, number one, progressive jackpots, the odds are always the same. And for example, Caribbean stud poker has a progressive jackpot for hitting a royal flush. And it starts at 10,000, and usually when you walk around a casino, you know, they could be anywhere from 10,000 to a little over 100,000 is usually where you see it. Depending on the pay table, if it gets to about 260,000, then the odds will swing to the player's favor. And same thing with megabucks. You know, at a certain point that will become positive. And but that does not mean that it's any more likely to hit. The odds on games like card games and on slot machines, the odds are always the same. The jackpot is never overdue.
All right. So I come to Vegas, and I know all this, and I've read your website, and I figure all that out, but I don't have time to memorize every system and look at every single machine I sit down at. What's wrong with going on the internet or picking up a book for $10 that has a guaranteed, surefire, cannot lose, I can beat the casino system? What do you think of those?
Those are all scams. There is no easy way to beat the casino. If there were, everybody would be doing it, starting with the guy who wrote that worthless system about how to win millions from the casino that he's kindly selling for 20 bucks. No, there is no easy way. And most of these so-called get-rich-quick schemes involve what I call betting systems. And that means they're usually based on craps or roulette, and it says, okay, start with this bet, and if it loses, bet this much, and if it loses again, bet this much. And you follow some scheme about how much to bet according to the pattern of past bets. These things are all absolutely worthless. People are always writing to me about what's your opinion of this new betting system. And my answer is always the same. All betting systems are equally worthless. If you remember just one thing that I say in this video, it should be that. Betting systems are absolutely bunk.
Oh. So that new book that I just got, I wasted my $10.
Yes.
All right, well, can you give me $10 worth of advice for sports betting? I'm complete newbie to it, so I don't even really understand the etiquette of it. What can you give me in a down and dirty crash course on that?
2 words for you. Actually, just 1 word. Underdogs. Doesn't make any difference what the sport is. Your odds are better betting on underdogs. Why, you might ask? It's because the general public has a lot of what are called square bettors. There's sharp bettors and square bettors. The sharp bettors are the smart ones. The square bettors are the ones that are the opposite. And they tend to like betting on the good teams. But when you bet on the good teams, when there's a lot of demand on the good teams, the casinos are trying to balance their action, so they favor the point spread they move it in favor of the bad team to try to attract action on the other side. So I'm not saying that you will have the advantage just flat betting underdogs, but if you look historically, betting, say on the NFL, if you just flat bet every underdog against the spread, you would be right around break even. Maybe at a small disadvantage, but it would be very thin. So again, underdogs are the way to go. And also about sports betting, I recommend just the simple bets. Just going against the point spread, you can't go wrong with that. Betting underdogs on the money line, also a good bet. As a rule of thumb, I recommend against anything exotic like parlay cards. There are exceptions. Sometimes they're good. There's sometimes ways of gaining an advantage from them, but it's complicated. As a rule of thumb, I would avoid, anything with a card where you have to bubble in numbers.
So after I'm done, for the very first time, placing my first sports bet on the underdog for whatever's going on, and I wander out onto the casino floor for the first time, what are some of the easiest games for a newbie to sit down and pick up the quickest, as far as the etiquette of the table and that type of thing?
Yeah, so I get asked that a lot. Mike, I don't have time to study your whole website. Just tell me one good game to play that has good odds, it's not complicated to learn. Craps. Craps is one of the best games you can play, and I know there's a lot of bets on this table, and to understand all the rules is pretty complicated, but you don't need to understand all the rules to play it. You really just need to understand the pass line and the odds, which I'm going to get into in another video.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Angela.
I appreciate the crash course.
Okay. Well, my pleasure.